What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, and Get On ADV Fest is right around the corner, and as per usual, I'm running right up against the clock trying to get mods onto my motorcycle. This year, it's the KTM 690 Enduro R. Now, as you might be able to tell, this motorcycle is completely stock. I have done nothing to it. But this thing has no crash protection, the skid plate is plastic, and the dashboard, it still sucks. So today, what we're working on is the Cumpan Dashboard Companion. This thing is the worst product name ever, but it's a very convenient product for the 690. But let's start installing this thing right here. I've actually never seen one of these in person. They're from Germany, and the reason why I found this is because back in the day when I was an smc-r owner, I watched Lamb Chop Rides' build series, and this seemed like it fixed a lot of the issues. So this is gonna go over there-ish somewhere. Let's dive in. One of the things that's nice about KTM's is they have the accessory wires just right inside the housing. So the first thing I got to do now that I have the headlight off is actually separate this a little bit from the triple tree so I can feed the wires down and then get power to it. All right, now that I've got those hooked up, if I turn the ignition on, I got the wires right, that should pop on. Which it's not. Okay, so I don't think I have the wires right. Okay, so I guess brown is ground, not black and red. That actually makes more sense. So now that I turn it on, ta-da! It's upside down because I haven't mounted it, but there it goes. Let's keep going. Doesn't come with instructions, and the website doesn't work on the phone. So we're gonna wing it. We're gonna see. Unless I missed something. And yeah, no. There's no instruction packet. So I could go online and figure it out, but I've never let not knowing what I'm doing stop me before. Next up, crank position sensor. Now the next step is going to be, in the royal parlance, a royal pain in the f***ing ass. Because you see that guy right there? That little thing is a little block off in the cam chain tensioner, I think. And that thing is where the oil temperature sensor goes. How am I gonna get that off of there? Oh boy. Maybe I have some wobbles. Maybe taking the chain cover off will buy me a few extra bits of clearance. No. How the f am I supposed to get this off here? Do I have to loosen the exhaust? Dang it. All right, I'm taking the exhaust off. All right, I loosened the header, and I'm hoping that's gonna give me enough room for me to reach the pipe, or the bung back here. Stop leaking, I command you. Ah, God, this is hard. All right, getting that freaking temperature sensor in there was a pain in the ass. Royal pain in the ass, but I think I got it. So it's gonna be tough to see, but it's in there and it routes up to that guy, which goes to the dashboard. And you can see the dashboard says 37 degrees. I think that's water, and then 34 is air temp. So I'm pretty sure 37 is the oil temperature, 34 is the exterior temperature, which that sounds about right. It's about 100 degrees outside, so I ran it for a second and my RPM did work. So now I'm working on the gear position indicator. So let's see if I can get that going. I've never used one of these connectors here, but it looks like a posi tap, and I hate these things. I prefer the one where you basically like put it on the wire like this, and then you screw it down, and then there's another cap that you screw on top of that. Those give you much better connections than this thing does. Unfortunately, I don't have any floating around. All right, let's see if it works. Neutral, yay! It's working. Cool. Alrighty folks, we're out here testing out the Cumpan. I wanted to get out and just see how it behaved before we did anything else, because if this doesn't work, I need to spend more time on it. Now, I have been riding out here, put down like 20 miles, and one thing I do know is that the input needs to be calibrated for the gears. So let's see here, it needs to go. It's a little bit frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. Navigating the screens is a bit of a pain in the butt. That being said, I have noticed that once it works and everything's good, you really don't need to screw around with it anymore. All right, so we gotta have the bike running. We're gonna calibrate first gear. Gear 1 is calibrated. Gear neutral. Come on. Gear neutral is calibrated. If that's done, it should be good to go. I do need to change my max temp. This is where it sets off the like red warning light. I need to change that to be about 220 degrees. That's hot. And let's go play. Actually, you know what? I want to change the display to RPM. Come on. There we go. The RPM one is basically what I wanted this dashboard to be before. Ah, bike's getting hot. There it goes. Okay. So as you can see, it's a little bit fiddly to get working. And I think part of that is just down to the fact that the screen is so teensy tiny. You know, that is a very small screen that's on there, and I think it could stand to be just a wee tad bigger, honestly. Just, you know, maybe a little bit wider, and not much taller, just a little bit wider, with maybe some actual buttons instead of a touch screen would be really great. But the beauty is, now I have everything on here that KTM didn't see fit to put on here in the first place, which is really annoying, because I know exactly how much that thing cost. It cost me $200 to have the Cumpan installed with the little
bracket thing that holds it onto the handlebars. That's 200 bucks. Why couldn't KTM spend the $200? I know that this trail tech that they've got on here is like 100 bucks, something like that, 120 bucks. Just find the nicer trail tech and just give that to me. But I digress. Now, one thing I will say is the Cumpan is a little bit difficult to see in the sunlight. It's going to be really hard to show on camera, but if I lean back, which is where I normally like to sit, I need to adjust the angle. And that's another thing that I need to do when I get home, is I'm actually going to cut some slots in the holder for zip ties. I think that is something that they should have done from the get-go. Instead of just locking it down, they should have given you some zip ties so that you can adjust the angle and attitude of it. That would have been a little bit smarter. But honestly, I really love having the gear and the tack. I know a lot of people ride just by feel, and I tend to do that as well. I tend to ride a lot by feel. But, you know, sometimes you like to look down and be like, oh, I'm in 4th gear, instead of, I think I'm in 4th gear. Let me mess around with, you know, the shifter and open. And despite this thing being a very fiddly install, it works great. So I would highly recommend this thing. And now let's get into the garage again, because eagle-eyed viewers will notice that there are handguards that do not match. And I need to tell you the story of getting these handguards on the motorcycle. Now, whoa there, folks, hold up. You see that lovely guy in the camera right in front of you? Yeah, he's wearing this right here. This is an Alpinestars Tech Air off-road vest, and despite the fact that it says off-road in the name, it is perfectly set up for your nice warm summer days, because this thing has a street algorithm built in so that if you have a whoopsie daisy, you get a nice airbag deployment and you're safe on the street. However, this is also an off-road vest, and it's got algorithms designed for single track and normal adventure use. They also have a rally mode, and all of these algorithms have been built and tested and designed by riders for riders. I never get on a motorcycle anymore without having my Alpinestars Tech Air off-road on me, just because it is that amazing layer of safety and security. Every time I put it on and I feel the little haptic sensor buzz, I know that I'm so much safer than in just a normal jacket. So if you're interested in checking out the entire Tech Air line, click the links down in the description below and check out everything they have to offer. Alrighty guys, day 2 of prep. I'm losing my voice a little bit, but we've got a whole bunch of new parts and we got to get moving because it is about to get blazing hot in here. So enough talking, let's get to turning wrenches. Now this just goes to show you how badly this bike was assembled. There was no torque on that bolt whatsoever. No surprise I had a oil leak. Well, that's just great. There's motor oil sitting on my skid plate. What the hell is going on at TJ's, man? All right, so they put way too much torque on this bolt. So what I did is I backed it off just a wee tad so that I can move it by hand. And I'm just gonna clean the sealing surface here because the bolt itself, the threads are oil tight, at least enough for me to work here. And then I'm gonna clean it up as much as I can and then crush it back down to the proper torque, because this is not okay. The amount of oil that was under my bike was not okay. This is the Spites Corner all-purpose utility tool.
And that ain't going anywhere. Next up, crash bars. That right there is why I wanted to do the skid plate first, because I need to support the motor, because I need to pull that motor mount right there. And that one would allow the motor to tilt forward. This one right here doesn't allow the motor to move anywhere but down. So I figured support the motor from underneath, and then I'm safe to pull that bolt. Alrighty, boyos, that is one protectomorated KTM 690 right there. I definitely feel a lot better with that cage on there, because this motor is so fragile. This whole bike is really fragile. So I really wanted something beefy, and T-Rex is typically pretty heavy. If you're looking to save weight, T-Rex isn't your brand. However, this is the cage that I have from T-Rex on the KLR, and it has stopped a lot of abuse on this thing. And I would highly recommend to anybody looking to do serious adventure work, getting a T-Rex racing kit. And they did not sponsor this video, by the way. T-Rex Racing, if you're watching and you'd like to get involved, let me know. But I just use T-Rex stuff. I highly recommend it. And again, they're a Texas company based out of Dallas. So supporting local. Next up, actual bark busters. Time to get these crappy wind guards off. Well, the guards have temporarily beaten me, because I actually have to run off to Walmart and get myself a new set of Dremel tool wide bits, because I have the little bits, but the wide bits are the only thing that's making progress on this. And the reason why I need the Dremel, I bought the wrong size. So as you can see, it's supposed to mount up right about there. And in order for it to do that, it needs to fit on the bar. And this side just about does, but the other side does not. So I need to widen those slots in there. And the wide bit was what was actually really making progress. The little bits aren't getting the job done. So I need to go get some coarse and some fine ones so I don't mar up the handlebars too bad. But it's getting pretty close. But in the meantime, I am gonna put my handlebar risers on. Had to call in some backup. I had to get my wife in here to help me out with this thing, because it was, excuse me, it was actually really hard to get it installed on there. But as you can see, I have a good bit of rise in there. They're torqued to 33.5, which is what they want. And KTM actually did something good here. They left holes in the top so you can actually clamp it down and then hold that in place while you turn the bolt. I need to sweep them more forward. That feels good to me. Whew. Flying eyes for when you're sitting at home and you're doing yourself some Dremel work and you don't want shavings in your eyes. That's C10, 10% off. A lot like cold glassware, hot aluminum looks the exact same as cold aluminum. And that one is cold enough to not mar my seat, but not really comfortable for me to touch. However, this is one I prepared earlier. And the fit is not perfect. If I come over here, you can see a little bit of gapping going on there, but the hold is really strong, so I'm not worried about it. Well guys, it's done for the most part. There is one thing I gotta do, I'll do it off camera, but it's basically that skid plate. Since it's a big giant hunk of aluminum, it's sending all of the engine noise back up to me. I'm not sure how much the camera picked that up, but that is a lot of noise out of this bike. So I'm just gonna go get some heat shielding at AutoZone. It's just stick-on stuff, so nothing major. I'll just stick it on, cut it to shape. It'll look okay. And then the biggest thing is it's just not gonna be super, super loud and dingy.